I guess the logic with the Sedge pick is that Sedge can... One of the problems you tend to have when you're fighting on this map is that each army has a very sort of narrow opponent-facing side. Like, they can only be hit from a couple different squares at once. So I guess the advantage of Sedge is that he can hit the enemy, then move away in this particular situation.
Yeah, and I mean, Sedge gains more and more value as time goes on, which on Auranian can happen. Like, games can sometimes go to very long times, and in these cases, well, Sedge simply thrives.
That's very true, and I tend to see golems coming out on this map, and Sedge can deal with the golems sort of more easily than a lot of other COs can.
Which is also an option for Wulfar, since water is available, but it's not as easy for, well, both Sedge and Wulfar need a specific setup to kill a golem with Groove, and well, I suspect that with how these two players are going to execute it, they're not gonna let that happen quite easily. It's always interesting on this map to see where, because you are allowed to build an early mage, and it's always interesting to see where players choose to spend it. Math chose the early mage south to go capture that corner village early, I guess, and Shu went for the mage from this barracks to allow reinforce for the commander on its path to the center. And it's actually quite interesting because Math still got the heal without that mage that we see so often.
Yeah, there are paths where you can where you reinforce for your commander. I think the reinforce technically is one turn later, but it's still before you have any interaction with your opponent, so it doesn't actually matter that it's one turn later. But aggressive openings here on older versions of the map, we used to see a lot of players take their commanders and go back to either the tower or the port or both, and then potentially using a balloon to get back to the front or just walking back to the front. So there were a lot of sort of delayed commander starts, but in this one, both players just saying, no, I'm going in with my commander, I don't need any of that.
Yeah, on Shu's side, we're seeing the sword slowly make its way back, going for that village, whereas Math went for the tower first. So some slight variance coming in now. And there we see Math taking the village.
And Math might be looking for an early balloon. Balloons this map just to sort of steadily supply. If you want to attack the side away from your HQ and away from your barracks, a balloon can be helpful to make sure that your units reinforce in a timely manner without having to walk through all those trees and mountains and stuff.
It's also the main way that you see like landfolk come out as well, which I know some people like to use.
Yeah, I know she was a big landfolk proponent in general. I think landfolk are pretty terrible on this map. It's hard to really have more than one, and the terrain is so cramped that they usually just can't reach anything. So I think that landfolk kind of suck here, but I wouldn't be surprised if Shu gets one just because he can.
Well, landfolk, generally what happens on this map is you just make one to capture this water village, and then you just happen to have a merfolk lying around, so you might as well make use of it. From what I've experienced, sending the commander to defend your HQ is generally not a very good option on this map.
Yeah, you tend to see commanders push or aggressively. So like you'll see the first player pushing along the south side of the mountain and the second player pushing along the north side. So Shu going for a bit of a deviation here, trying to go aggressive onto Sedge, and he's got this golem to help back him up too. This is a very early golem. Golem's great on this map because of their high move, and just how strong they are when they're not exposed on multiple sides. You know, if you can only hit a golem from one or two sides, it's really difficult to deal with.
But we see Sedge responding by just killing that sword. And he has this 8 health village to fall back to if he needs to. So sure, Wulfar can go aggressive. But Sedge has options to keep himself safe.
And I mean, Wulfar can take a great big whack at Sedge. You know, Sedge is on the road here. There's also this mage to follow up. So actually, Sedge could take a lot of damage and end up quite low. But don't think he's in danger of dying. And he can just
The mage
run
would
back
have
and
to
heal.
crit to be able to threaten that.
Yeah, and the knight positioning from math doesn't allow some sort of janky surround right here. But Shu, well, getting an income lead, and I think it's because math opened in, well, not necessarily questionable, but like not that optimal way. He basically let Shu capture one of his villages next to his strongholds for free, and now he's a bit behind for it.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised to see how chose to play out the I feel like usually you want the early mage on the other side. Either you want it to go all the way into the corner away from your water village so that it can cap over there, or you want it to do what Shu did and give you a place to reinforce early. I think using mage on his bottom side was like maybe not that strong, because now the mage is over there and it can't do it. It's just sitting there, right? Like if you have a sword over there and it can't do anything, it doesn't matter because it's just a sword. But now he's got a mage over there. That's 400 gold that's just like not doing anything, just sitting in the corner.
I just want to say, there was a roll to kill Sedge there.
You know, I was wondering.
Yeah, I thought he might go for it.
Yeah, because Sedge is on a road, there was a chance that if he max rolled on the... So he got a pretty favorable roll on the commander. And then I think if he max rolled on the mage, he could have actually killed it. But that would have been kind of a waste, because then the mage would take a bunch of damage. And
I mean, you say a bunch of damage, but...
Actually, no, you're right. Mage wouldn't take that much damage.
Yeah.
Just going for it. I don't know.
Well, you would give... Well, the mage would die because the sword wouldn't be weak. And you also give some groove to Sedge, which isn't that ideal. But, yeah.
Wow, she's just going for it.
She was making a real... Oh my god. She was making a really strong push here. Wulfar Groove is ready. Aggressive push here. Not pushing for the HQ. Normally you see players really push directly on the HQ, but she's going for a different strategy and just chasing Sedge down. The objective here is to keep Sedge at low health, because he doesn't care if Sedge gets Groove as long as Sedge's health stays low, because Sedge doesn't want to be messing around using Groove when his health is low.
Well, Sedge is still like quite efficient at using Groove when he's low, but he has to be extra careful and plan ahead for his way out.
Oh, there's something Shu likes to do, which I think might happen here. Comes down to it. He likes to punt golems with Wulfar into his opponent.
Punt his own golem?
Yeah, so we could see something like Sedge tries to run away and he hits his own golem to trap him.
Interesting. Oh, and Lord here going back on the offensive himself.
Yeah, that dog did quite a bit of damage, so pretty happy with that. I mean, the commanders are on roads this whole time, so they're really just like taking chunks out of each other.
really are. And if mathlord wants, he can take the golem and swing at Wulfar from the top and do another big fat chunk.
Yeah, and the golem would be in a position where Wulfar cannot golf it into the water.
That's right. He would be just narrowly out of range to get golfed. And even though the golem would take a bunch of damage in response, Wulfar would have to back off. Neither golem would die. Yeah, he's going for it. Yeah, see, next turn the two golems will fight, and neither golem will die, and Wulfar will have to move away. Wulfar will have to go back and reinforce.
Yeah. Once Wulfar gets on low health, he can't really afford to move aggressively anymore, so he has to back off and heal. Which is one of Wulfar's biggest weaknesses. Because he wants to be active most of the time, and just sitting on groove doesn't accomplish much. So
Wulfar plays out sort of like Baldur, where you want to be using groove as much as you can, so then you can build up another groove and keep snowballing it.
The math, he could very well have groove. Either like the next turn or the turn after. So Sedge, he's going to be activated.
And once Sedge gets active, you really don't want to approach him at all, ever, with anything. He's so scary once his groove is online.
yeah, basically any attempt you have to trade nearby Sedge has to be either very, very carefully positioned in some tight corridors, so that only one or two sides are exposed, and you use tanky units. But generally, if you try to trade around Sedge, you will just lose in the long run.
He just generates so much value once that groove is online. You really can't afford to engage in combat with him unless you know you're going to come out with a big victory.
And one thing to note here is that Shu has gone for this merfolk play. You may even see landfolk, he's got the balloon set up for it. And he's got this extra water village. And that income is going to slowly create a large amount of value over the course of the game.
We're already on turn 8. I'm going to try to drag this game out a significant amount so that he can get as much value out of Sedge as possible. So that income disparity, it's gonna catch up to him.
Yeah, we see Math responding by getting his own merfolk. I like this archer a lot because we're going to start seeing this get very claustrophobic in the center. There's going to be not a huge amount of room for maneuvering.
Archers are a great play on this map. Now, Shu's positioning has kind of denied this because he's got this golem in this sort of north position. But normally, there's a spot where you can put the archer, and actually Math was one of the players who pioneered this particular maneuver. You could put the archer directly north. So if you're player 2, you put the archer directly north of your center village that's just to the right of the mountain. And if your opponent is pushing along the south, they just can't reach the archer. The archer can hit all of their units, and your opponent just can't do anything about it.
Yeah, the archer is like just shooting across the mountain.
The other good position with this archer as well is this wall tile, the tile north of it is very well defended, and the archer can hit huge chunks around it. So
I wouldn't actually be surprised if we saw the archer end up going there. She was looking for... It looks like she was looking for pretty aggressive positioning here, but I don't think that he can really break through. Math is fairly well defended. He's set up good for counterattack, so I think we might see the game slowing down a bit. Now, the thing that Shu has on his side is that he's got a second golem in the upper left corner, and in a couple turns that golem is going to start mixing in the front. And then we're going to see Math is going to struggle. You know, these archers are suddenly going to be a lot less valuable when they're facing down two golems.
They are useful against golems though, because of things like you can push them into that threshold of not getting as big a counterattack on crits, for example. Like the worst thing that happens is when you push a golem into like 40 or 39% health. But if you can ping it first with an archer, you can make it so you're only taking maybe like 30% instead of that 40 when they do the counterattack.
Well, there's also the fact that if the golem is like above, slightly above 40%, if you attack it with anything, it will crit on the counterattack. But if you use an archer, you can put it into below 35%, and then Sedge can groove it, and you don't take much counter damage.
I really like this play. Just using the groove to delodge a sword, so he doesn't even do that much gold damage. It just lets him put his golem in a really scary position.
Yeah, the golem being on the mountain now, this is going to be a huge pain for mathlord to deal with, because a golem on a mountain, you can't hurt it with anything. Also, burning the groove early on, very nice. Nice to start get that groove charge building up again, so he can hit something else.
That said, Wulfar is quite vulnerable.
I'm expecting that. I don't know. I was gonna say I was expecting that some more units would follow up and sort of guard Wulfar's flanks here. Although Sedge can't reach.
But we have a dog suicide, a spear suicide. We've got mage crit available.
Both archers
there's
can
an
hit
archer
him.
from the north too.
And both archers?
Yeah, so,
oh, one archer can hit, so...
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, the weakened archer cannot hit.
If I'm math, I would go for it.
I would definitely at least be calcing it out. Jew is open on...
74% on a dog is almost perfect for attacking.
He doesn't really have to suicide the dog even, because it could just hit from the left. Nothing else can reach.
I actually would like it if you don't go for the mage crit, you run the mage around to hit from the left and use a sword to hit from the north.
Oh, that actually worked pretty well.
I think that's a little bit more damage.
And I mean, there's a 1 HP, there's a pike suicide, so that 1 HP pike can be healed.
Yeah, that would be a 25% pike onto Wulfar.
And now it would not crit, which is unfortunate.
I think math is literally doing math right now. For as much as I like the Wulfar play, it's very vulnerable to getting hit by a large amount of counterattack damage.
Yeah, I was expecting when he did that play that he was going to press his entire army into mathlord's face, basically, and have Wulfar be surrounded by his various swords and mage and stuff. And when that didn't happen, now I'm wondering what's going on here.
Yeah, from the quick calculations I did, from the top of my head, there was a lethal opportunity, but it was RNG, and mathlord doesn't really enjoy going for these kinds of RNG lethals. And I mean, he's not so behind that he desperately needs a way back into the game, so it makes sense not going for a lethal like this.
Gets his own golem out.
He's down 1 game in the grand finals. If he goes for an RNG lethal and low rolls it, and then immediately loses the game, that would be an extremely painful way to go out.
That is very true. And you know, he has things like Sedge Groove is activated, he's got Sedge on full health. He's got a lot of pressure on the enemy headquarters.
This game has far been a lot less one-sided. In fairly good positions here. Neither one of them are looking particularly weak.
I'm not sure the HQ is going to be under a lot of direct pressure right now because Shu has 2 golems ready to defend it.
And something to note as well is that Math is now a little bit behind on clock, so that does become a factor on this map, even though it's like not the biggest thing always.
That's really not to his advantage though, because you don't really want to be behind on clock as Sedge, because you want to be able to think out your big scary plays. You know, you want to think out, how am I gonna run a circle around his entire army? And Shu going for like a pseudo surround here. Not really surround, but because you know he could just walk north through his own golem. But
Moving his army
Yeah,
up there
sure.
though.
Shu really has been putting a lot of pressure on mathlord's commander this game.
yeah, I think he's recognizing that can stall out relatively easily if you don't put the commanders end up too safe. And both players get a really big army, this map can kind of stall out. And if it stalls out, it's absolutely going to be in Sedge's favor by far. So he's trying to say that he doesn't want the game to stall out. He's trying to make sure that it ends quickly.
This little surround on Sedge has turned into a fairly sizable "I'm moving my entire army around your commander."
Well,
Yeah, now
it is it is a double-edged sword to go after Sedge because once you start trading around Sedge, that's where he gets really scary. So I think this turn it's fine, but he has to be really careful about how he does it if he wants to continue this pressuring Sedge.
How does that meme go? Call an ambulance, but not for me.
yeah, I mean, this archer is in a position to let Sedge start killing stuff. Yeah. Oh, never mind. The archer's just going to one-shot that sword. I was hoping that the archer would not one-shot it and then Sedge could groove it, but you know,
It doesn't
that works.
make
out.
a huge difference for that case anyway. One thing that's interesting is I think he can kill the golem. Oh, actually no, that's a bit awkward. Because like I was thinking mage crit onto the golem to open it up, but Sedge can't get around to the right hand side, so
He's just going to play safe with Sedge, which I think is fine. I mean, really, the point of moving the army there was not to try and like produce a lethal for Shu anything. It was just to say like, get off my HQ. And mathlord's just saying, okay, I'll get off.
yeah. And also because he has groove, like you have to respond to that. You have to threaten him a bit.
Hey.
And because Shu's army is the way it is, ooh, I like that heal. I would have thought the golem would move to the mountain, but
I also thought of that, but if you look at it, then you open up the fact that Shu's golem could wrap around and hit it from the top. So I think like the golem doesn't really block anything from getting on the mountain, so you don't lose much by doing something like that.
yeah, actually the mage can now jump onto the mountain and crit from there too, so like, there's a bunch of options that open up if you just don't take the mountain.
Mathlord has across the map pulled into really powerful defensive formations. While we've been focusing on the action near Shu's HQ, Mathlord's HQ has just been amassing a huge pile of beefy, strong units. He's got a golem, he's got pikes, they're backed up with an archer, there's a mage there. It's going to be very difficult for Mathlord to break through that, even with the triple golem that he's fielding right now.
Yeah, but the thing is, Shu is up on time, so I mean, I guess for this turn it's normal to like get up in the defensive position, and I think he forgot to move his merfolk, but yeah. Uh, the thing is, if mathlord doesn't start trading and getting Sedge value soon, Shu is going to be able to time him out and just win that way.
Yeah, Math does need to start thinking about how he's actually going to win the game. Because right now he's surviving, right? He's taken a bit of a beating on Sedge, he's healed it up, he's like licked his wounds. And his army's in a good defensive formation, but now he needs to win the game.
Well, he's in a position where he can start walking forward. His little pressure maneuver with Sedge did force a lot of Shu's army back to the HQ, so now he can start moving his guys up a little bit and pressuring the center a lot more. Some thwacks. Following up with a mage heal, just the classic hit stuff with golem, then heal it. Pressure back on, but he's staring down a much bigger army than last time.
I actually really dislike the fact that he healed his dog. I think it was way more threatening when it was at like a lower percentage.
And yeah, now that Sedge has Groove, and Sedge is perfectly safe, you can see almost no units are going to be into his range to not allow him to start a chain move.
Yeah, there's one golem that's at full health, and nothing else can really reach it. But again, this Wulfar is looking a little bit exposed yet again.
If that mage goes down, there's a night crit on Wulfar. Oh. Is that double mage? No. There's a night crit and a mage crit available. And a sword suicide?
No, there is double mage crit actually.
So the mage could go down. It is possible
there is
to
double
take the
mage.
mage down.
Yeah, I think Wulfar's just dead.
This is a bad situation.
Yeah,
Wulfar.
the
I
archer
think that
could
he's in
also
over his
hit
head.
Wulfar from the bottom if you kill the dog.
Not even if you
I
kill the
think-
dog, his golem just needs to move.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So he's got one archer, one weakened sword, which I think he
He's
could
got
drop a heal
two
onto
archers,
first.
Actually, he's got 2 archers.
Can the other archer? Oh, the other archer can reach. That, I think Wulfar's just dead. And from a position where Wulfar was a few turns ago, and the potential lethal being there. Okay, uses that archer to clear. I think that's a good choice.
That's... There's the knight. This is the path.
There's the knight.
I would have
Yeah,
used the sword
Shu-
suicide
Shu's-
first, but
Shu's weakness, the night.
Go aside, and then the mate crate will finish it off. There it is.
Yep.
There we go.
I had a feeling that this is what mathlord was waiting for. He was thinking, I'll just let Shu play aggressive and keep playing aggressive until eventually he gets so aggressive that he loses, and that is exactly what happened.
and in the exact same spot as he was a couple turns ago, and if you're Master of Math and you see him move back into that spot again, you're just like, well, of course I'm gonna kill him this time. I have more army now.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta be just licking your lips when you're like, oh, well, he almost, I was really close to killing him for free last time, and now I have twice as many units, so I'm really gonna kill him for free this time.
Yeah, and like the big difference there is the golem wasn't on the mountain. And that was the thing last time. That was the thing that was really preventing a guaranteed lethal. And I even think there were more optimal ways of doing that lethal. I think one of the mages from the north could have come in and healed that sword. The sword could have suicided from the left. Just to be more guaranteed, done a bit more damage, but you didn't even need that.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, you still had an archer
still-
left to follow up as well, so...
Exactly. Wulfar was very dead in this spot.
Yeah, we're gonna go to a game 3. So, exciting
Just
times.
died.
And we're going to go to before the flood.
Ooh.
Really
Ooh.
interesting.